Welcome to the friendliest campus in the South.
Shotgun Blanchard, one back set, rolls right, pressure coming, throws, Middleton, go! He scores!
To the gym of the hills.
He lifts it to left. That one's pretty well hit. Hall on the run. That ball is gone.
Home of the Jacksonville State Gamecocks.
Over the day, over the Hall. He fires up at the buzzer and drains the three. Good defense by Cunningham. Gregory releases lane. Pulls up. He checks.
This is your podcast for JSU Sports.
High fly ball. Center field. It is back. It's out of here.
With your hosts, Brandon Owens and Cody Hooks. This is Cocky Nation.
Here's Cooper. Four-man rush for Florida State. Going to cut it loose. Phil Johnson caught it. Inside the 10, Phil Johnson on his feet. He'll cut back. And Jacksonville State has won at the Horn.
Welcome back, FCS Fans Nation and JSU fans, to the Cocky Nation podcast. It is your hosts, Cody and Brandon, back at it. We have been in sabbatical for a while. Life changes for the two of us. I think the last time we were on, and it's been a minute. Last time we've been on, I am currently now married. I got married. He was in my wedding.
It was a fun time.
It was a fun time. So I got married. I have moved schools to a different location. Not going to say where that is, just for my privacy, if you don't mind. And then on top of that, just life has been super busy, and got an upgrade from my side. Got an official microphone. Now I'm not using just this headphone thing anymore. And life has been good. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I think the last time we recorded was like in March,
something like that. It was before.
Yeah,
my
we
wedding.
didn't even do
that.
like a season finale. We like prepared for it and never did it because we were
life hit us
super
hard.
Busy. Yes,
yeah, life hit us hard.
Grad school
he was
sucks. Adulting sucks. But ever since then, like where I'm a visual instructor at, like I did the indoor percussion and we took third in our first year in our class at in the circuit that we competed in. So that was nice. Applied for teaching jobs, came up short on 2 interviews that I had. But went right back to normal with the school that I'm working at since I couldn't find a teaching job. And let me tell you, the high school marching band world is not ready for the improvements of this band program.
I'm excited to see it, and I will be able to see it. So I'm excited for that.
I know. I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, I miss band. I'm not super involved anymore, unfortunately. I've actually entered the coaching world a little bit more. And married life. So, those things happen. Just for forewarned for any of you that are not a part of it. But of course, to start our new season, we had to start off right off the bat with one of the probably best wins. Obviously, not the best game, but it still made all of us super excited to watch Jacksonville State beat Florida State in that game last year. And so that's how we had to really start about it. And especially because what's the biggest thing that's happening to Jacksonville State in the next year or so? We are transferring to the FBS, going to Conference USA. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about that as well, because I know several of you probably have questions about that because we were part of FCS Fan Nation. What are we going to do about that? So I think Brandon and I have come to the conclusion that our connection with FCS Fan Nation will never go away. We will love and appreciate everything that they've done for us, but we do know that in the future, if they're not part of the FCS, we're going to have to, kind of not necessarily rebrand, but kind of transition into that different world. So we are going to be talking about a little bit about that for the FBS, and then we're going to really focus in on this next coming year, because this is also a big year, because we have first year for
FCS farewell tour.
and it's Rich Rodriguez's first season as a football coach. We'll dive into that a little bit more. And we're not the only ones. Sam Houston is also making that transition.
Which we will touch on them a little bit because there has been some Twitter blow up about the name of the rivalry that has been coming. And I absolutely love the name that has been come up with. It makes no sense and it makes it that much better.
Oh, yeah. And definitely we'll dive in some other big topics. And then also talking about Rich Rodriguez, I didn't know, Brandon, I don't know if you know about this yet, that he and Mike Paris have a podcast.
I
that they
saw
do.
that today. Yeah. And interesting enough, I will actually be in the Jacksonville area on Monday nights because one of my classes will be held on Monday nights. So depending on what happens, I probably won't be able to make it over there every week, but I'll try to make it over there for a couple of the shows at least.
Yeah. And I mean, that is your job to talk to Rich Rodriguez and see if we can't do a collab one time. But enough talk about what we're going to talk about. Let's actually get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is what's been changing in the football world since, let's see, February, ever since, February, March, when we heard the biggest announcement, which was USC and UCLA.
No, that was June. That was
Was
June.
it June?
It was June. It was most recent.
Good Lord, I feel like it's been forever, but
it feels like it, but it's been what, 2 months since that announcement's been made? Yeah.
But regardless, USC, so Southern California, and UCLA are making their way to the Big Ten, and then Notre Dame is also looking at the Big Ten, but they're also looking in other places apparently as well. So that's one big thing that's been happening. Okay, we've been seeing conferences change. We've been hearing a lot about the Pac-12, what's going to happen with them. We've also heard, and the Big 12. There was a lot of rumors about the SEC growing even bigger than what we are now, but the commissioner put a stop to that as well. But I think
at least for the time being.
But I think one thing that we need to focus on, especially since we're moving to that conference, is Conference USA, because that's our next destination. That's our home. We're not the only ones. Liberty's going. Sam Houston is going. Isn't New Mexico State? There's one more. I can't remember who it is.
No, that's it. That's four.
Okay.
Liberty, Sam Houston, JSU, and New Mexico State.
Yeah. So we're all making this change. Now, obviously, we're not focusing on Conference USA this year because we're still in the FCS. But what is going to be the future of the Conference USA? Do you think it's going to be effective? Brandon, what are your thoughts?
Well, ever since UCLA and USC made the announcement that they were going to the Big Ten, like everybody, like the realignment train was like halted for a little bit. And then because of this, it just restarted up. Everybody was wondering what was going to happen to the SEC because everybody's starting to think there's going to be like 2 super conferences now, and it's going to be the Big Ten and the SEC. The FBS split was brought up again. People were starting to wonder if other Pac-12s were going to follow to the Big Ten or if they were going to go to the Big 12, which there's a whole lot that we're going to unpack. And then also the Big 12 wondering where do they fit in all this. So let's just start with the fact that USC and UCLA made the announcement that they're going to the Big Ten in 2024. Yeah, 2024.
Yeah.
And not long after that, Oregon and Washington applied for the Big Ten, but then the Big Ten was trying to renegotiate their big TV deal. And now that we have some insight after Notre Dame's name was brought into this, if they were going to go to the Big Ten, they were also considering, from what I have read, they were considering the SEC as well, which, I mean, Notre Dame, in my opinion, would fit in either conference. they would fit in perfectly in either conference. They're more geographically fit for the Big Ten, but based on tradition and their ability to compete, they would fit in nicely with the SEC as well. But that would take the SEC into Big Ten country, which could cause some drama right there. So now that the Big Ten has kind of finalized what their TV deal is, NBC, who has a contract with Notre Dame, is in on this Big Ten TV deal. And it hasn't been announced yet, but that kind of solidifies, in my opinion, that Notre Dame will most likely join the Big Ten. When will they announce that they're joining the Big Ten? We don't know. But it kind of solidifies the fact that they're going to the Big Ten at some point or another. Now, here's where it gets juicy and where it could possibly affect not only Conference USA, but bringing up some FCS teams that should be at the FBS level to compete in either Conference USA or the Mountain West. So the Pac-12 apparently got dealt a take it or leave it deal from ESPN. I think it's $24 million per team in revenue. And that basically is kind of like we don't know if that deal has been like made or not, but we know that offer has been made. So with that being said, it's people seem to think that the Pac-12 is going to stay put. Now, the Big 12 has contacted Oregon, Washington, Utah, Arizona, Arizona State, and Colorado to join the Big 12. I don't think Oregon and Washington are going to go to the Big 12. They want to go to the Big 10. The other four schools, on the other hand, if they're wanting a way out, they need to go to the Big 12. That point blank simple. Yeah. They need to go to the Big 12. If that happens, if the Pac-12 wants to survive, they're going to have to pull teams from the Mountain West. Well, also, with the problem with that is the Pac-12 would have to get rid of their academic standards because there's not very many West Coast Research 1 institutions to basically refill the Pac-12. So if that were to happen, then the Mountain West would probably contact teams like UTEP and New Mexico State, which Conference USA is already looking at possibly expanding to 12 teams. Not in the near future, or not like next year, but in the future, they're looking to expand back to 12 teams, even 14 teams, possibly. With those two teams gone, you're going to have some FCS call-ups. If the Pac-12 starts raiding the Mountain West will have some FCS options, along with pulling New Mexico State and UTEP into the Mountain West. So it's a lot to unpack.
Well, see,
but I think that somewhat scratches the surface.
And see, for me, like the big issues that I have, and I constantly point this out. And yes, I've heard all the excuses and things like that. But explain to me, and I'm not asking like to actually explain to me, but rhetorically, explain to me why Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, JMU, and other major FCS teams have already made the change to go to the FBS. Yes, it may be the group of five. It might not be the power five. But explain to me why those teams are going to take the step forward, but North Dakota State and South Dakota State and all those other teams that have been doing phenomenal aren't going to make that change. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. And I'm not hating on NDSU fans. I love you guys. You're amazing. You have a great team, okay? But are you just getting comfortable because you know you can win?
Well, okay, so I went back and listened to some past FCS Fans Nation episodes from the off season, and one of them was talking about NDSU making the jump to FBS, and that was literally right after that was literally right after this announcement was made about UCLA and USC.
Right.
And apparently a lot of the fan base is now wanting to go FBS. So, I mean, if you're wanting to go FBS, I mean, I know you don't want to join Conference USA, and JSU fans are also in the same boat, but we're more content with our move because there's not another, like the Sun Belt is not going to offer us a spot now because they're at 14 teams now.
Yeah. See,
and that's the conference we initially wanted to be in. Either that or the American.
Right. And so here's my thought process on all of this. If you are an FCS team and you know that you're good in the FCS, so I'm considering teams like Eastern Washington, NDSU, SCSU.
Eastern will not make the jump. Sorry, Kyler. Kyler agrees with me. Eastern will not make the jump.
No, I'm just listing teams. Okay, so Eastern Washington, NDSU, SCSU, kind of Montana State. You catch my drift. This is the perfect time for FCS teams that are doing really well to make the jump. Now, let me explain why, okay? Because, and this kind of ties into us as the Conference USA. This was the perfect time for JSU to do this. Number one, got a new coach. Number two, what's about to happen in the FBS? First off, there's possibly a split, okay, where the Power 5 teams are about to turn into one giant super conference or something like that, okay? But even then, if they don't, the other big rumor that's coming along, now they did make the decision recently, and I heard the decision at least for right now, but there's still talks about expanding the college playoff to not just 4 teams to 12 teams.
Well, it was either 12 or 16.
Yeah, 12 to 16.
I think they're voting on 12, but I think the ultimate goal is to get to 16.
Right. So the point is, though, that yes. Do I think that? Do I believe that JSU would make it to the college playoffs? No, but what I mean,
unless we win our conference.
Not unless we win our conference. But the fact of the matter is that this is an opportunity for the group of 5 conferences that have solid, really good teams that don't get looked at to have an opportunity. Now, yes. Those FCS teams, if they joined a group of 5 or a Power 5 conference in the FBS, are they going to do super well their first year? Probably not. Let's just be honest. You got the Big Ten, the SEC, even the ACC. But the fact of the matter is that this is the time to build, get better, and then boom, you could be one of those 12 or 16 teams. You could. If you have a solid, I mean, look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati did the unthinkable, made it to the playoffs. Did they win? Absolutely not. But they showed out. This is the perfect time. I applaud JSU, and I said this before. I applaud JSU. Now, at first I was a little hesitant, but the more that I thought about it, I was like, this is actually a really good idea. This is time for us to grow. This year is the year that Rich Rodriguez needs to show up and show out, show that we deserve to be in the FBS, which I do think that we do, and then go from there. Like, this is the perfect time. If you're an FCS team and you are considering going into the FBS, do it. Just do it.
Well, your comparison of or what you said about the group of 5 not being able to compete right away, it's a lot like the FCS playoffs where you have the big 3, the Big Sky, Missouri Valley, and Colonial, and then you have that tier of the next 3 teams before the ASUN was even a football conference. You had the OVC, Southland, and Big South. I'll throw Big South out of there and put SoCon in there. Those next 3 is basically like the group of 5. We were nipping on the heels of the big 3 the entire time, some more than others, not the OVC. But you had us in the OVC that was basically pushing that conference to get better because why? We were the team to beat every year. We won the conference, 5 years in a row?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it easily carries over into the FBS. Easily carries over.
I mean, it's again, I've stated my case. I understand that I do not have the power invested in me to tell other FCS teams what they need to do and what not to do, but you cannot tell me that this is the perfect time. Okay? You get good in your conference. Possibly move conferences because if everything is just again happening the way that it's supposed to, then we're going to continue to see those shifts happen. So again, it is the perfect time. And so that is where I'm leaving that because again, we are still FCS. So my mentality is I think we've covered pretty much all of this, and I think we need to get to JSU specifically and the FCS if you agree.
Mhm.
So here is here's the biggest news. Okay. So now we're transitioning to JSU activities and as far as athletics. And the biggest story that came out, it came out in April of this year, April 20th.
April or May, yeah.
Yeah, it was April 20th. I'm actually looking at it. I'll tell you why I looked at it in
Oh my
just a second.
gosh.
You know why. So we got the announcement that in 2024, Jacksonville State, the true Gamecocks, just saying,
Uh-huh.
is going to play South Carolina in South Carolina, and it's going to be a cockfight.
Your boy will be in Columbia, South Carolina.
Your boy is going to Columbia, South Carolina. So just to kind of go off a tangent. So when this announcement came up, Brandon and I were coming up with some really good rivalry names. So let's see, we had cockfight. Our cocks are better than your cocks. Are you cocky enough? Who's the bigger cock? Cock v cock. Chicken fight is another really good
I
one.
kind of like that one the best.
COCK, can our cocks kick ass? For all the marbles, for all the cocks.
Okay.
Cock-a-doodle-doo, our cocks are better than you. Foul play, battle for the coop, flock to the cocks, black out the cocks, head of the cocks. I had a lot. Chicken run is another really good.
I think the best one is Battle for the Coop.
I like the battle for the coop. That's probably my favorite one. But I'm
And
excited.
even though if this doesn't happen every year, like there needs to be a name for this.
Literally,
I mean, we're the only two universities in the NCAA with the
With
nickname
Gamecocks.
Gamecocks.
I think this is like you can't tell me that JSU and South Carolina.
Oh, it's
did
been a
not
time
just,
coming.
You can't tell me that they just sat down, probably drinking a whiskey or something, and they go, we should play each other, be a cockfight. Like, you can't tell me that didn't happen. Like, it just makes sense, man. Like,
It
this
does
is a
make
long
sense.
time coming. And so I was talking
Well,
to
we've
some of
played
my
each other in other sports.
Yeah. So like it's just been a long time coming for football. I was actually talking to several of my South Carolina friends and some of my Georgia friends that are right on the border in
Yeah.
Augusta, and they were just telling me how like, oh, we're gonna get our butt whooped and stuff like that. I was like, 2 years. We got 2 years. You never know what's gonna happen. You
Exactly.
never know.
South Carolina may be absolute crap, and we might have a shot.
Exactly. Now, I don't know. South Carolina's looking pretty decent this year, but I think
hope
this is
not.
going to. But
Because I
again,
want to win this game.
but that's now. The quarterback that they have is going to go into the draft this next year, so
Right.
they're going to lose him. So we don't know what's going to happen. But I think this is a unique opportunity for JSU and for South Carolina because I think we should make this an ongoing thing. Now, maybe not
Yes.
every year, but at least once every other year or something like that.
Yeah.
So we have them. In 2023 and 2024, we're going to be playing Eastern Michigan.
Okay, so I know this one is like Eastern Michigan is not a good football team, and their facilities are not that great. We actually have a bigger football stadium than they do,
and we're about to make it bigger.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm actually excited for this matchup. I really am. I think it's going to be a good first test in the group of 5 to see where we actually stand, because recently Eastern Michigan has been either they're really good or they're really bad.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it too. And then the last matchup that we're going to have planned for 2025 and 2026 is Georgia Southern. Now, I have friends that go to Georgia Southern.
I do too. I have friends that are alumni.
Yep. And so I'm excited for this game, especially because it's not that far down the road. Like, it is not that far down the road for JSU fans.
I was about to say, depending on where you go, it may be far, but like from Jacksonville itself, it's what, 4 or 5 hours? It's not that far.
So I think this is going to be another really good matchup. Again, it's several years away, so we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know if they're going to be great. We don't know if they're going to be bad. I mean, who knows? But I think, like, overall, it's still going to be a really good matchup. So the next thing that we want to talk about is, who would you, Brandon, like to see complete our 2023 football schedule?
Coastal Carolina.
Really?
The off-brand Gamecocks.
The Chanticleers?
Yes.
Okay, so we played them not long ago. We played in 2016, did we not?
We won by 1 point.
Yeah.
It was their last year before they moved up to the FBS.
And then they got good.
Yeah. So, I actually made a poll on, was it Cocky Nation? Oh, by the way, I also run the SSN, the Sideline Sports Network, Jacksonville State page. So it was either on that or Cocky Nation. I think it was on the SSN page. But I had 4 teams. The first 4 teams I picked were all filled. I think it was UAB, Troy, South Alabama, and somebody else. I can't remember. But the next 4 teams I picked, after looking at certain schedules, JMU has some slots to fill. Coastal Carolina has some slots to fill. Georgia Tech has 1 slot to fill, and UCF has 2 slots to fill. So those were my 4 teams. And out of all of them, Georgia Tech and Coastal Carolina were the top 2. So, but if you ask me, I would much rather have either James Madison or Coastal Carolina fill that last slot.
I'm excited. to see, because beat the regular Gamecocks and then beat the fake Cocks. So I think it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if it, more than likely it won't happen, but hey, JSU higher ups, if you're listening, it'd be great.
Those 4 teams.
Now, new uniforms.
Okay. I like the uniforms.
Do you have a picture of them?
I do. Do you want me to send it to you real quick?
Yeah, because so somebody sent me like a screenshot of it, but I have it, like, it wasn't a really good picture, so I would like to see what the uniforms look like. I've been keeping up with it like digitally, but I haven't actually seen a lot recently. So I've been keeping up with like stats and stuff.
So the uniform itself, I actually like how simple it is. What I am interested to see, because we are we're rebranding to Jack State, not Jacksonville State, not JSU. We're rebranding to Jack State. And so I like the uniform. My question is the helmet. What's on the other side of the helmet? Because you cannot tell me that only Jack State is on that helmet.
Either that is because if you look at the picture, now I'm looking at it because that is not Jack State on the other side. That has to be a Gamecock.
That's what I'm thinking.
So
If it's Jack State on one side and then you have the full Gamecock on the other side, oh, that's gonna look tough.
So is the white going to be our main uniform now, or is that going to be red? Because in this picture it's the
I have
white
no
one.
idea.
Because in the other picture it's also white.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my thought process on it because now
are
I'm
we
looking at it.
keeping the old jerseys too?
I don't know. I like it. I think the red is a little stronger, like vibrant than what we've used in the past. I don't know. Maybe it's just the picture.
It's so
I like
small.
this.
It's so small, but the black lining right
Mhm.
here, I love it.
I think it's a solid look. I think it's like a kind of almost like a minimalist throwback almost. I don't know how I feel about the lettering though. That's the one thing I'm still looking
That's
at.
the same font that we've always had.
Is it?
Yes.
Doesn't look like it.
Yes.
Well, regardless, I think it's interesting. I don't know if I love it. I think I need to see it like on the field. But again, I mean, at the end of the day, uniforms are only going to take you so far.
Yeah, the one thing I would say that I would change, is I would have the letters, and even Jack State, I would have it trimmed in black on the white jerseys.
Yeah. Or I would just do like I think Jack State in front looks good, but I also just like JSU. I think that's just a solid look. That's just me personally. I like the helmets. I'd like to see what's on the other side of the helmet, just to kind of get an idea. Because it's going to be the same thing every time type helmet or what? So
I don't know. Okay, so surely we have a red version of this jersey. Surely. And we most definitely will have white pants. So my question is, will we have a white helmet to go with all of this?
probably not, unfortunately, because if I
The
learned
fans have been
anything-
wanting a white helmet for
Right.
years now.
But the problem is, and this is like even a problem in the NFL, it's the cost for helmets to have multiple helmets because they're designed for the players. So it's just a cost efficiency thing. So I doubt we'll see a white helmet anytime soon. Let us
I want a blackout
win.
jersey. I want a blackout uniform. I want a
I was
blackout
I
uniform.
was just about to say that having a blackout jersey with a red, like a crimson, like a nice solid this red for the helmet with
black helmet. Black helmet.
I don't know. I think it's too much.
Black helmet.
I would like to see a black jersey though, but that's just me. Last thing, as far as activities go, as far as JSU, one of the big things that's come out is our basketball schedule. And there's a really big game that's going to be a part of that. And it is somebody in the Pac 12, and it is Utah.
Yeah, I think this is the first meeting out of all the sports between JSU and Utah.
Give them a warm, cocky welcome.
Yeah. Our full schedule has not been announced. Like, we have our conference schedule, and this, I think, is the only non-conference game that's been announced. So the actual schedule should be it should get released soon. But I mean, the full schedule has not been released yet, but that's the only non-conference game that we know of.
Well, I'm excited to see what it's going to end up turning out to be. I mean, obviously, as time gets closer, I mean, it's basketball season just ended not too long ago. So
and Utah is a power.
Yeah.
They are a basketball power.
Right. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see. But no, there's no time like the present. You know, that's in the future. But let's talk about what's gonna happen. So next week, next week, JSU is going to Montgomery again, and we are going to be playing SFA, aka Stephen F. Austin, in the Kickoff Classic. So the biggest question for me is who's going to be the quarterback.
I don't know. Like,
Nothing's come out.
He will not announce it.
So
he is taking the NDSU approach, and he's not going to announce it until like the day of the game.
So if you're not keeping up with it, okay, if you haven't checked our rosters, if you haven't looked at it, let's see. You still got Caldwell, okay, who is a sophomore
Which
now.
He's been getting a lot of reps.
Okay.
So
you got Caldwell.
I think that's who it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. So you got Caldwell. You got Zion Webb, okay? Which, if you don't remember, Zion got hurt in the spring of 2021, right? So he got hurt.
Got hurt in the Delaware game. If he didn't get hurt, we would probably have went to the semis.
Possibly. We have a couple names on top of that. We have Chance Newman, which I haven't heard a lot about Chance personally. Hunter Rackett.
He's a big guy, though. He would work out when I was at the rec center.
You talking about Chance?
Yes, he is big.
Okay. Another name is Chance Rackett.
From Cal Poly, yeah.
From Cal Poly. And then apparently, okay, so I don't know if they've updated this roster, the list I'm looking at, but Zarek is still on this roster. I thought Zarek was done.
He is. You're not looking at the right roster.
Okay, I was making sure because I was pulling it up from the Score app, and it says he's still on there.
No, he's not.
But I think it's going to come down to I have not seen. So the only thing I've seen though is stuff about Matthew Caldwell, which he looks solid. I think he's going as a sophomore this year, or is he a junior? I can't keep up with
sophomore. He's a redshirt freshman. No. He might be a redshirt freshman. I don't know.
I think he's a sophomore because he was there last year and he had some really good reps. But I think it's going to come down to Zion and Matthew, and I think Matthew's going to take it. Now that's only on QB. QB is only as good as the rest of the team. Now, as far as where we're landing, as far as like, because let's face it, you're either a running back team, a wide receiver team, or you're a little bit of both. But where are we landing? Where do you think we're landing?
Sorry, I was looking at the roster. What was the question again?
I was asking you, so like, I feel like football teams are one of three things. You're either a little bit good at both, or you're a running back team, like your running game is great, or your catching game is great. So where are we sitting at this point? Because at one point, arguably speaking, we had some solid wide receivers. We were playing the catching game great. Our running game was not bad, but I don't think it was perfect. So where do you think that we're landing? Are you think we're more of a running team, or you think we're more of wide receivers and catching?
I think it's going to be a pretty going off of like past seasons of when Rich Rod was a head coach. It was very well balanced, but leaned more towards the run. So I don't know if he's going to stick with that, or if he's going to kind of shake it up a little bit. But I mean, regardless, I think most of our wide receivers and tight ends are returning. I think a majority of our running backs are returning too.
I do know that we have Josh Samuels coming back. CJ Fielder, I think, is coming back.
We have a new guy from South Carolina, Reggie Bennett. He's short. He's 5'9".
I think Ron Wiggins is still.
Yeah, Ron is still with us.
And Now, as far as wide receivers go, I think Pearson Baldwin's still around.
Jordan McCants, he was
Mhm.
well, actually, he's a freshman. I know why I
Is
know
he?
that name. He was at the school that I work for.
Okay.
I saw him play last year. Yeah, they don't have the full roster set up.
Interesting.
That's
Well,
weird.
I think
Anyways,
it'd be. I mean, but again, it's and I'm not shooting down Stephen F. Austin because I know like they've had some solid games this past year, but I don't see this being a difficulty. I don't see this being a difficult game. Personally,
well, do you not remember what happened on homecoming last year? If we did not get those 2 early turnovers, we would have lost that game.
yeah, but I think we see Matthew Caldwell being the spearhead for this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rod is building around him. Hopefully, he's building around him.
Hopefully, him and Wiggins.
Mm-hmm. Now, for the rest of the season, I think that's still up in the air. I think for me personally, I need to see us play first in this first game, and then come back and talk to me later. Because our schedule starts with Stephen F. Austin, Davidson, dub. That's going to be a dub.
Yes.
Murray State, dub. Tulsa, let me see how we play. Let me see how we
To
play
be
this
determined.
first TBD. Nichols, dub.
Again, I have to see. I'm gonna say dub right now, but it might change after I see how Nichols plays.
Fair. Kennesaw State.
I don't even want to pick that game.
Ask me later.
Let's skip that one.
North Alabama,
Dub.
Southeastern Louisiana,
Probably a loss.
I don't want to say it is, but it probably will be. Austin P.
If we go off of history, probably a loss.
We could win those games, man.
Yes.
And we just
and it's at Austin
new coach. That's what I'm believing. Yeah, and it's in Austin P. Eastern Kentucky.
We better get this dub.
Yeah, and then Central Arkansas at Central Arkansas. I want to say it's
Will is going to be very surprised. I'm gonna say that's a loss. I don't think you realize how hard it is to play on the stripes.
I don't know. I see us going. What do you think?
At best, undefeated. At worst, probably 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah. I mean, again, that Tulsa's still up in the air. Southeastern Louisiana's up in the air. Central Arkansas, and then possibly Nichols or Kennesaw State. But it all depends on what those teams look like.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are up in the air with SLU, my bad, SLU, because they will apparently jump on your butt for calling them SELA. SLU being the loss.
Mm-hmm.
That is the definite loss that I see right now.
And it's at JSU. So that's something
homecoming.
Yeah, and you got to take that in consideration, because think about Eastern Washington at home. We didn't smoke them, but we did win. So maybe it's the same hype energy. Who knows? I think the fact that we're playing at home against Kennesaw State is more in our favor, especially if the team and the fans show up.
Well, we thought that the first time we played them.
It's fine. We don't have a lot of home games. Do not have that many home games. We have Eastern Kentucky, Southeastern Louisiana, Kennesaw State, and Davidson. That's it.
Technically, Stephen F. Austin is a home game, but it's a neutral site field.
Right, but I'm talking about like at JSU.
So
I can tell you for me, I'm going to try to make sure I'm there at that Kennesaw State game. I don't know if I'm going to make it for homecoming. I'd like to make it for homecoming, but who knows?
I will not be at the Kennesaw State game. Sad.
Yeah.
I have prior commitments for that day.
Yeah, I do not.
That give me the monies.
So I think it's gonna be interesting. Now, as far as Stephen F. Austin, Brandon, what's your prediction for that? What's your
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Last year was such a close game. And I think we did everything we could to lose that game, and we still won it. Stephen F. Austin is a heavy favorite to win the WAC. JSU is picked to, I think it's a top 3 finish in the ASUN.
Yeah, because we got
and technically we are one of the top 3 conferences in the FCS now.
Apparently.
Go check your Versus mobile app. So I don't know. Like, I hate that this is our first game because I didn't get to go to the spring game. I'm only going off of like the camp videos that I'm seeing. And we look really good. And I haven't even seen anything of Stephen F. Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have not seen a single thing about them. So with that being said, I'm going to say this comes down to, just like FSU, it's going to come down to the last second for either team. I think this game is going to be decided by who has the ball last.
I'm going to say Cox by 14. Listen, remember that I am the optimist. And
I'm the realist.
Somebody's got to believe in this team, y'all, because that guy up there does not always. But I'm going to pick our team every time.
I'm gonna
Unless
go.
I know that it's a definite loss.
I'm gonna go JSU by 2.
3. I was gonna say 3, but okay.
I going off of what I said, it depends on who has the ball last.
Mm-hmm.
I think we still have Karajic, and his leg is freaking amazing. I will say it comes down to a last-second field goal, and JSU wins.
Well, with that being said, y'all, that was it for the first episode of this new season. Of course, we want to thank everybody. And if you're not following us on all of our social media platforms, first off, what are you doing with your life? But you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook, Cocky_Nation. On Facebook, look up Cocky Nation, a JSU podcast. And then again, we are still part of the FCS Fan Nation. So please go follow all of our friends that are part of other podcasts, especially those that may be a little bit smaller. So again, we need all the support. All FCS Fan Nations needs the support. But it's finally time to say it again, Brandon. You ready?
What?
Go Gamecocks and
Fear the beak.
Fear the beak.